All right, guys, I just discovered this really niche singer/rapper from Canada. He's super dope. I'm not sure if many of you have heard of him before. He's a little more underground. He goes by the name Drake, not Drake Bell.
Drake?
Different Drake. You ever heard of that guy? The words I just said have probably not been uttered by a human being in well over a decade. Drake is just so overwhelmingly popular. Like, he is a household name. Like, by definition, like everybody in the household knows about Drake, even the dogs, apparently. The guy is just unfathomably popular. Did you know that he's the most streamed artist on Spotify ever? Ever. So surely this guy knows a thing or two about marketing. If anybody knows how to get attention, it's Drizzy. And if you've seen my last video about the alleged possession of Doja Cat, then you know that one of the easiest ways to get attention is through controversy. So you probably won't be surprised when I tell you that Drake has been fighting, beefing, squabbling with other celebrities for pretty much his entire career, because it's an easy way to get your name out there. Drake's been involved in all kinds of public beef over the years. Some real, some fake, some started fake and then became real beef. It's a mess. And let's not forget where Drake's career started. He's a trained actor, a professional liar, a fraud, some might say.
You stabbed me in the back. What?
Music marketing is an art form, and Drake uses public beef like a paintbrush. So in light of the fact that he just dropped an album and he's probably as popular as he's ever been, I thought today we could take a look at his body of work. Let's look at his public beef throughout the years. How much of this stuff is fake exactly? What reason does he have to fake it, and why might he want to avoid faking things like this in the future? Let's step into the gallery and find out.
I just flipped the switch. Flip. I don't know nobody else that's doing this. Body start to drop. Hit the floor. Now they wanna know me since I hit the top. Hey, this a rolling, not a stop. Watch shit don't never stop. This the flow that got that block hot. Got super hot.
All right, everyone, please try and keep your voice down. We're in the gallery section now. I ask that you please respect everyone else's sensibilities. We're gonna take a trip down memory lane real quick. Throughout the years, he's been involved in beef with a number of different celebrities. We got Common, Tyga, Luda, Diddy, Comma P, Kendrick Lamar, Jay-Z, and Pusha T. That's an important one. We'll come back to that one. Kanye West, aka Ye, aka I watched a Jonah Hill movie and now I don't hate Jewish people anymore. Meek Mill. Not so meek after all, as it turns out. And Christopher Brown. So yeah, he's been involved in a number of different disputes, whether it's involving corny lyrics or wanting to be with Rihanna, having a secret love child. It's all over the place. He's had a ton of different public beefs, so to speak. For about any artist you can think of that makes hip hop or R&B, chances are he's had beef with them. Or if he hasn't, there's at least a rumor of him having beef about them. Like with Eminem, Marshall Mathers. Apparently Hot 97 radio host Ebro Darden said that he had a private conversation with Drake, suggesting that an Eminem diss track was on the way. Quote,
I told Drake that I heard the rumor was that Eminem was going to gear up to come after him.
And Drake laughed, and he said,
that's not going to happen. He was like, he'd never do that. And if it did, I got something for him too.
But now, according to that radio host, it was all a joke. Just kidding, guys. Just kidding. It was a bit. The radio host ended up tweeting that it was a joke that people ran with. I can't imagine why people would run with a statement of fact like that. This article goes on to say that a feud between the two seemed odd. Drake likes to choose his battles and has never gone against hip-hop greats such as Jay-Z or Pusha T. My, did this article age exceptionally poorly. Pusha T and Drake have a feud that apparently goes all the way back to 2006, 2011, 2012. I mean, they just couldn't, they're obsessed with each other. I don't get it. And that all came to a head in May of 2018 when Drake's public beef with Pusha T got so heated that it culminated with Drake being outed as a deadbeat father who had a secret love child with a porn star. And since then, it seems like he's kind of tried to avoid it being involved in any kind of public beef with other celebrities, because I guess he just can't have any other dirty secrets come out. Yeah, it seems like all of his public beef since then has been exclusively fake. And that makes sense for two reasons. One, he's good at it. Before he was Drake, he was Aubrey Graham, actor. And he probably gets a kick out of having fake beef as a rapper, using lyrics as a weapon. He even wrote a bunch of fake diss tracks for an SNL skit one time.
You just so damn mean. Now I got no friends, and I got no water, and I lost my hat. Damn.
Now, as far as weapons go, these lyrics are pretty tame, definitely fighting with the kid's gloves on, but this was early in his career. He wasn't quite fighting for his life quite yet. Definitely got to be a little safer when you're dealing with huge corporations. I mean, apparently he had fake beef with the Golden State Warriors too. I'm not really sure about the details because they don't really describe it at all. They just say, hey, an incident happened, and then they link to a Vine, which you can't play. I mean, you look at the thumbnail, you can turn the volume on and off. So yeah, rest in peace, Vine. Now it's just a thumbnail browser, I guess. But luckily, they also link to an interview with Kevin Durant.
We put a team on the foul line.
This was Drake night here, and he's the one who just interrupted us. Give me a taste of what the trash talk was like, what the what the interaction was like with your buddy there.
I don't give a damn about no damn Drake night.
Now, he seems pretty pissed, as you can tell, but believe it or not, it was all fake. It was all staged. After all, Kevin Durant is also a critically acclaimed actor. And reason number 2 as to why I think Drake exclusively deals in fake beef nowadays is because faking beef with another celebrity is a way to allow both of you to get the spotlight without ruining your personal relationship with that person. When it comes to marketing, the science actually checks out. Rivalry between different brands can not only help the brands themselves, but the consumers. I've got this study here. Admittedly, I'm not gonna read the whole study because it costs $40 to buy it. You know what, go support on Patreon if you want me to be able to download academic studies that cost $40. I consider myself an academically honest person insofar that I will read the abstract and try and summarize for you guys. So yeah, the study basically argues that public beef between two different public brands can help everyone by creating brand distinctiveness. So rivalry is good marketing, like objectively. Now, I'm not sure if I totally agree with the methodology of this study. They sampled 100 people in German university cities. So not exactly sure if we can extrapolate this to what I'm talking about, but it seems like we can because there are also a shit ton of other articles about the benefits of brand rivalry. So I'm pretty sure they're onto something here. And just think about it logically based on what you've seen. Like Apple could have offered iMessage to Android users years ago. Like they could have done that so easily. Just upload that shit to the App Store, Google Play Store. Couldn't be me. I don't even know what that shit's called. But they would never do that. Why would they? They know that those little green texts have become so powerful in our little lizard brains that they have successfully started convincing us that we should not talk to people who have green texts. Like how fucked is that? And this does seem to actually translate over to the music industry pretty well. Like, look at 6ix9ine. This is a guy who has so many beefs that they have to put them in alphabetical order when they're listing them out. It's not enough to put them in chronological. You're just gonna get lost. And this list that I'm looking at is from 2018. This is the incomplete saga. 6ix9ine's beefs have a whole section of his Wikipedia page. Like, you know, when you load up a Wikipedia page and half of it is just a section called controversies, that's a good ass Wikipedia page. A lot of these incidents also seem to line up with 6ix9ine's biggest peaks in popularity. So we can see that beef can definitely help keep you relevant, but it doesn't seem like it helps as much as getting arrested by federal agents on RICO charges. That's the golden marketing strategy right there. And that's why with a lot of Drake's public beef, there's always fans out there speculating whether or not it's actually fake. Like, the guy's genuinely a pretty good actor, so it's kind of hard to tell. There's this Reddit post. Was the Kanye Drake beef fake the whole time? Does anyone else think it's weird that the Kanye versus Drake beef reignited when Dre leaked Drake's address on IG? Then a few months later, they literally meet at that address to squash the beef, to squash it into a fine ground meat and reminisce over some nice smash burgers? This, in addition to this article where Rick Ross hints that the Ye Drake beef was totally fake, makes it seem like the feud was a ploy the whole time. Rick Ross admits that the feud between Drake and Kanye West is total. Why are we asking Rick Ross about this, is my question. Why is this his admission to make? He's like, okay, I admit it. Susie has hemorrhoids, okay? Fine. It's like, that wasn't your secret to admit to. Drake texted Ross shortly after the leak saying everything is unfolding. I'm about to be as free as a bird. Rick Ross then said, if you don't understand what's going on, then you would have thought it was personal. It really wasn't. It's just them getting ready for, as Drake said, everything to unfold. Everything to unfold. I mean, I think that might have just been referring to Kanye's mental illness being put on display, because that did start to unfold. Apparently, there are like 6 anonymous sources, not just one. I get people's reservations around anonymous sources, but there were 6 anonymous sources independently saying that Kanye was literally going to name his 2018 album Hitler. Just Hitler. So mental illness was definitely on the horizon at this point. So maybe that's what Drake was saying was about to unfold. So yeah, with so many public beefs, with so many notable celebrities, it's honestly pretty understandable why so many people would start rumors that some of them are fake. But Drake's most recent public feud actually gave us some compelling evidence that he is capable of convincing all of us that fake beef is real. Let's check out the timeline of Drake's beef with the Breakfast Club host Charlamagne the God. A few weeks ago, Drake released a single with SZA called Slime You Out. Shortly after, Charlamagne decided to weigh in on it on this podcast.
Drake put out a song last Friday and nobody cared.
What was the song?
The Drake and SZA record.
No, people, that just dropped and people do like
it. Came out last Friday. And it came out last Friday and people just started talking about the lyrics yesterday. And I remember I'm in the group chat and I'm like, damn, Drake put out this record Friday and people just get into the lyrics on a Monday?
I mean,
that's not Drake. Like, when you think about, you look at the album cover and you hear the title for All My Dogs, I think we was looking for something a little bit more harder, a little bit more aggressive.
Something with that dog in it. So yeah, that was Charlamagne's diss of the new song, essentially saying, it took 2 days for your fans to start picking apart the lyrics. Isn't that... You fell off, buddy. You fell off a little bit. So Drake decided to clap back on Instagram and he did not hold back. Are you okay, Leonard? Like, kind of weirding me out, G. Like, really obsessed with me or something for years. Like, look in the mirror and wish you saw my reflection type shit. Whatever you gotta do, let it out. I'm sure your 435 local fans will stand by you, fucking goof. Just a picture of him. It's a nice sweater. In deep thought about how you the off-brand Morris Chestnut. I can't remember where I found it, but Morris Chestnut says that he gets mistaken for Charlamagne the God. Where did he say that?
Very recently, for the first couple of times, they thought I was Charlamagne the God. Yeah. So yeah, I think every bald-headed black dude, with a goatee.
That's unfortunate. Hey, not Don Cheadle. Does Don Cheadle have a goatee? He does. Don Cheadle has a goatee. So you get the idea. Drake claps back. He absolutely fucking flamed Charlamagne over that. And then Charlamagne came out and said that it was all fake. It was all pre-planned. It was all orchestrated just to promote Drake's new album.
We came to an understanding and we agreed whenever he drops certain songs, I will hate on them in order to bring more attention to the record. I don't think he needs it. I think it's crazy that he wants me to still do that, but
So you actually like Slime You Out, whatever.
No.
So the fake beef conspiracy theorists probably rejoiced because shortly after, Drake basically confirmed it. He posted this picture asking, what color is fake beef? Because that's what we should turn the CN Tower as soon as we land. The boy's home in 48, so pop out and show love for your drapes. For your drapes. Show love or close your drapes. So... what color is fake beef? So he's talking about fake beef right after Charlamagne confirms, basically, that all of his beef with Drake has been pre-planned, which is actually genius, I think, doing it with Charlamagne, because Charlamagne is the perfect person to beef with. This guy he shoves his foot so far into his mouth, you can't look away. How do you even fit your foot that far in your mouth? The man just says the wildest shit with no second thought. But there's a chance that all this fake beef may have caught up to Drake. He's starting to bear the consequences of these little manufactured altercations. Let's take a look at the Bobbi Althoff incident. So if you're not aware, Bobbi Althoff is widely criticized as this podcast industry plant. Basically this extremely popular podcast that she started, where she started all of a sudden, within a couple episodes, interviewing just massive celebrities, Drake being one of them. So they do this interview. It gets a little awkward during it because Bobbi actually brings up the fact that Drake had this secret son and presumably hadn't been taking care of him all that time.
Where's your son?
Somewhere safe, and it's not his birthday.
When's his birthday?
What does it matter? It ain't today, honey.
Don't call me honey.
You know, they were kind of jabbing at each other, going back and forth over that. So some people genuinely, including myself, I didn't know who Bobbi Althoff was or what her shtick was. So I was convinced. I thought that these people were actually duking it out in a bed. But then, shortly after, Drake and Bobbi unfollowed each other on Instagram. Oh, wow, this is a big deal, big faux pas when it comes to people with tens of millions of followers. So not only did they unfollow each other, but the actual podcast episode also got removed. So that led people to wonder, did something happen? Did this fake beef, did this bit somehow evolve or devolve, I should say, into real beef, genuine disdain for one another? Now, some people also speculated that this was because of a subsequent podcast appearance that she did where she was describing her interview with Lil Yachty, and she was basically describing how awkward he was and how it was kind of a difficult interview to do. And I guess Lil Yachty and Drake are kind of close, so maybe he just didn't like that. So that's where that ended. But shortly after, people started apparently calling Drake an evil mastermind because the story may have been a little bit more nuanced than people initially suspected.
We now know exactly why Drake and Bobbi's podcast has been pulled, and it's more about corporate bullying than a PR stunt. Drake paid her travel to come to his location, negotiated where his team would film, produce, and control most everything about the podcast. Not long afterward, the episode disappeared from the public, and the two unfollowed each other on social media. While many speculated, most all missed the actual reason. During the episode, Drake brings up Tyga, who Bobbi apparently hasn't heard of, or so she said. He then goes on to play Tyga's track Rack City. He specifically leaves it playing and airs a very long clip in the episode, which now appears to have been his leverage he planted in the episode from the beginning. Drake's team reached out to Universal Music Group, which owns the rights to Rack City, and then issued a copyright strike against Bobbi's podcast. This meant that all of the proceeds from the podcast would have to be turned over to Universal Music, or Bobbi could be facing a very large lawsuit. The podcast at that time had already been viewed more than 1 million times, so Bobbi's team, realizing they would not be able to monetize their biggest podcast in history, decided to pull the podcast instead of handing over the money from it to Universal Music.
So basically they're arguing that Drake, this was all his evil plan all along. He was going to play a copyrighted song that was owned by a major record label during the podcast so that if things went badly, he could then essentially narc to the record label and tell them, hey, you should copyright claim this YouTube video or take it down. And so eventually that's exactly what happened, according to this guy at least. The video got copyright claimed. Then Bobbi Althoff's team removed the episode because they didn't want to lose out on the ad revenue for their biggest podcast episode yet, which I guess in theory, that checks out, but he doesn't provide any evidence to support any of this. He just says it. He says, this is what happened. Hey, editing Vaughn here. I decided to take a look at the Wayback Machine for the Bobbi Althoff Drake interview. And the last time that this webpage was captured, which is, I believe, like 2 or 3 days before it was removed, there's no copyright claim on this video anywhere. So unless it happened within the last like 2 days of the video being live, that's just fake news. Bam. So I don't know if I necessarily believe that. I don't know why Drake would do the podcast at all if he felt like he needed that kind of leverage in the first place. Like, he apparently trusted her enough to invite her to film with him, pay for her flight and everything, sit down for this interview in a bed together.
We start.
But he doesn't trust her to take the video down if he asked her to. Like, that, I don't know. But it seems like less of a stretch to believe that maybe these two people just had a falling out with each other and agreed that it was best to delete the episode. After all, it led to people speculating that Bobbi had divorced her husband and hooked up with Drake. So, I mean, probably not ideal to keep the episode up if you're trying to convince people that didn't happen. So Drake's gallery of public beef is kind of a mess, as you can see. But the Charlamagne stuff, I think, is pretty impressive. Like, he is clearly capable of producing fake beef that is very convincing. You should do a McDonald's meal. It's just all pink sludge. It's just a pink sludge meal. Or no, is it gray? Is it gray sludge? What color is fake beef, you know? So if nothing else, I think that Drake's story is kind of a cautionary tale for anybody wanting to use fake beef as a tool to promote your music or whatever. Just tread lightly, I guess, because if you're beefing with people who might have access to some dirty secrets of yours, maybe that beef won't stay too civil for very long. Maybe it gets a little personal after a while. Maybe some love children start getting brought into the mix, and nobody wants that. Leave the kids out of this, you know? Hey, you suck. Beef with me in the comments. Let's go. Bring it on, tough guy. I dare you to start fake beef with me in the comments. I dare you. At least now I can sleep well at night knowing that even if I get the most unhinged, ridiculous, negative comments, I can just say they're all part of a bit. They're just joking. They're just joking around. That's about it. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, support the Patreon, join the Discord. You know the drill. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Peace. Let's not forget where Drake's career, lest we forget where Drake's career started. Where did his career start?